Welcome to NSA eNugget series, a series of live talks on topics related to active aging. These live talks will take place every Tuesday at 2 p.m. here on C3A's Facebook page. You can share this live video with your family and friends too. After the live session, this video will be made available on both our Facebook page and YouTube channel.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. How's everyone on this raining day? I hope you have a good, warm, or hot lunch. Nothing beats having a hot meal on a day like this. I don't know about your side, but on my side, I'm actually from, sharing you from my whole house. It has been raining since this morning. So I thank you for your joining us on this session. And also, I'm David, a capable developer that empowers others in digital literacy and personal wellness. And on behalf of IT, I'd like to thank the National Civil Academy for inviting us to share on this topic of paying with e-payments with you folks. And I also like to thank IMDA for some of the materials for the permission to use some of the materials that I'll be sharing with you. Now, most of you, and like many Singaporeans all the while, normally, how do you all make payments? I mean, all of you are, even when you have credit cards or when you have debit cards or even with NETs, you will still carry around your wallet or your purse. And typically, what do you do your wallet and purse? You'll probably go to the ATM or even the bank branches, withdraw some money from either the ATM or the branches, put in your wallet, and as and when you like to make a purchase, you take the money from your wallet. Now today, I will share with you a safer and faster option. And what will we be sharing today? We will be giving an overview and appreciation of e-payments, especially mobile e-payments. Why mobile? Wow, everybody carries a handphone, which means in future, you don't even have to carry your physical purse or wallets around because your phone can be your wallet. And how do you do that? How do you make payments with your phone? I'll be sharing you two methods. One is by using your handphone number or using a QR code. And last but not least, the very important is how to do it safely. Now, what is mobile e-payment? Basically, it's like what I say, it is actually a means to pay. It's a safe and fast free payment, as we'll share, as you can see later, using apps as those with the little icons that you nowadays you see on your handphones. And there's no need to bring physical cash, as you'll see later. And how do you do that? Normally, there are two common ways of making mobile e-payment is either by scanning those QR codes that are accepted by the merchant, or you use the app itself from your handphone to make that payment. But before I do that, I'd like to share some background information. And first, I'll share on what is Pay Now. Now, many of you are probably familiar with Gyro, G-I-R-O. Why? Because you probably have been using Gyro to pay, let's say, your utilities bills, your phone bills. Now, and of course, you don't just pay, you also receive money using Gyro. One way, of course, is when you were working or you're still working, you probably will receive your salary by Gyro every month. Now, so in that sense, Pay Now is like Gyro. It is a service. It's not an account, but it's a service just like Gyro. And what's the difference between Pay Now and Gyro? Well, the advantage of Pay Now is that you receive the money instantly. Whereas for Gyro, you may still need about 1 to 2 days or even more if there's public holiday or long weekends in between. Whereas for Pay Now, it's instant. And just to share a tip, I think some of you may have received some payment from the government. Once, I think, was in April, and the other one was just a few days ago. So, officially, it was supposed to be 18th of June. But for those who already had Pay Now, like myself, I actually received on 17th of June. Whereas for some of you who are on Gyro, you actually have received later than 18th of June. And how do you use Pay Now to receive money or to pay money? It's only by using a handphone number or using your NIC if you're Singaporean. A PIN number refers to those who are foreigners, and UEN refers to those who are organizations. And next, I'll also be sharing on PayLah. Now, some people say, what is the difference between PayNow and PayLah? The reason is because both of them sound very similar, but they are actually two different products. PayNow, as I say, is a service, whereas PayLah is a e-wallet. Now, what is an e-wallet? It is just like a wallet that you, or purse that you currently carry with yourself, except that it resides as an app in your handphone, which means there's no physical purse or wallet. It's an app in your handphone, and it's an app that allows money transfers. And for PayLah, it actually also supports the PayNow service, but it can only do so by using handphone number or QR code. But that, and so no IC number, no UEN, yes, but is that an issue? Not at all, because I'm sure no one will share with a total stranger their NRIC number, and I would suggest you do not as well. Reason being, for many of us using SingPass, the first login ID, that means the first key to our SingPass, is in fact our NRIC number. So I'll definitely don't encourage you to share your IC numbers with other people. So PayLah can do support PayNow by using the handphone number or the QR code. And it's a wallet, whereas PayNow is a service. And the reason why PayNow came about is because PayLah is just an example of e-wallet, but there are other e-wallet like GrabPay, Fave, FADE. There are many, many others. Even those who are active with the ActiveSG, ActiveSG also have their wallet as well. There are many others, but none of them so-called talk to each other. For example, before PayNow came into operation, you would not be able to say use PayLah to pay your friend who is using GrabPay, for example, because these two apps are independent. They don't talk to each other. They are not interoperable, as we say. But PayNow is actually an initiative to streamline all this. Through PayNow, it allows all those who are using different apps to make payments to each other or to receive payments. Okay. If you have any further question on that, later you can ask me on the Q&A. Next day, I'll be sharing okay, now that you know it's PayNow, but who supports it and how do you go about doing it? Now, as PayNow is a national service, it's supported by all the major banks in Singapore, some which you'll see here. I believe all of you will probably be a customer of one of these banks or even more than one of these banks. And how do you register for a service? Just like Gyro, when you want to make a payment to, let's say, pay your utilities bill, you have to fill out the application or you have to apply for it. Now, since PayNow is a service, you have to apply for it too. But before you do that, you of course need to have a bank account with the participating bank. And you need to register for their internet banking service, otherwise known as digital banking. That's the reason is because to register for this PayNow service, one needs to do it through the digital banking service of the respective banks, whether through the mobile app or through their computer online. And the registration steps actually is much dependent on the banking institutions, but most of them actually allows you three options. You can register for a PayNow service using only handphone number, that means your handphone number, and this handphone number must be in the bank records. That means you're using, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 must be part of the banking record. Okay, or as I say, you can register using your NRIC. And the third one is both. That means you register the third option, having both the handphone number and the NRIC. The reason is this, as I said earlier, some of you may have received payments from the government. As I said, the most recent was supposedly 18th of June. The government actually don't use the handphone number, your handphone number, to pay you the kind of payments they want to credit to your account. They actually use your NRIC number. So that's the reason why I actually will recommend that when you register for PayNow service, do consider the third option, which is both the handphone number, your handphone number, and your NRIC number. Next, we shall go to how to do the payments. I will share with you on how to pay someone using mobile number. Previously, let's say like now it's just after lunch, right? Maybe 2 of you or 3 of you went for lunch. And typically in Singapore context, there's only one bill. I mean, someone paid for all three of them, and later the other 2 persons will pay whoever paid. Well, if they don't have cash or the exact change, one way is they will use the ATM to transfer. Of course, some of them may use the internet banking, but but more typically previously was actually maybe go to the ATM or use cash. But if you use cash, you may not have the exact change. And if you use the ATM, the person who is paying you may not do it immediately. They may do it even 1 or 2 days later. But with Pay Now, as the word suggests, it'll be instantaneous. And you can do it from the comfort of you can receive the money from the comfort of your home, and whoever is making the payment to you can do it from the comfort of their home 24/7. It's, as I said, safe and fuss-free. And what you see on the screen now are 3 apps. I will illustrate using DBS Payla, which is actually the e-wallet or electronic wallet of DBS Bank. And there are 2 UOB Mighty and Pay Anyone by OCBC Bank are more than e-wallets. They are actually the digital banking apps of the respective banks, which means that you don't just do money transfers, but you can do banking services just like what you do in the when you visit a branch, like you want to apply for, say, change to foreign exchange between 2 accounts and things like that. You actually can do it through actually these digital banking apps of the respective bank, which is why I did during this circuit breaker time, which I didn't want to go down to the bank. I actually, when I had a foreign account, Forex account, and my Sing dollar account, so I switched between 2 using my digital banking app. For DBS, it would have been DBS Digibank, but for this purpose of this talk, I will actually use Payla to illustrate how an e-wallet works. Whereas for the other 2, I will use the respective Digibank to share with you. Now, the first step is you're paying someone. Let's say you're paying me. We went to lunch together, and you decide to pay me your share of the lunch bill. You need to download your app. And if you're an Android user, means your phone is Android version, you need to go down to the Play Store and download the respective app of your choice, let's say Payla. Or if you are a Apple phone user, you may want to iPhone, you may wish to go to App Store and download the Payla app. And let's say you already download the app, you have previously already registered for the Pay Now services with the respective banks, your bank. One way you can access the app is to use the traditional way, username and password, or if your phone supports it, your handphone supports it, you can opt for fingerprint or facial recognition. However, I'd like to highlight 2 points that you may wish to take note. Many of us some of us tend to drop our phone sometimes, and you drop it at the wrong place, it may end up in a cracked glass, your cracked screen, which is what happened to one of my previous phone. If that happens, you may have problem using fingerprint to access apps like this, which means you still have to go back to the user ID and password mode. And with regards to facial recognition, sometimes the place is too dark, when there's a blackout or who knows, you're inside the cinema, who knows, and suddenly you need to make a payment. Facial recognition doesn't work in areas where lighting is not great. Like today, it's overcast skies, and you are right in your room with windows closed, it may not work properly because facial recognition needs bright lights, areas that's well lit. Now, okay, let's assuming that you already download the app, so you already use your user ID and password to log in. That's another one way that is more secure. Your typical wallet, your purse, does it really have anyone who take the wallet can access, right? But in this case, even someone steal your phone, they cannot necessarily access to your e-wallet like Payla, because they first all need to know your user ID and your password. I'll share a bit more on password later. So then you're going to an app. Let's say you're using Payla. If you're paying someone using handphone number, you will tap on the paper aeroplane because you're flying the money over instantaneously. So it's paper aeroplane. And as I highlighted in the yellow outline box, and if you are using OCBC, you have to just tap on Pay a Person. And for UOB, you just tap on Pay Now. The picture is there, the icon is there. So after you've done that, next, you need to choose whom you're paying to using the phone number. If the person is your friend, like because you are paying me and I'm your friend, you probably will have saved my contact number in your contact list, and you can choose under David. You can search under David. Now, but let me share with you a real story, like what happened to a friend. Some of us, and I used to have this habit too previously, although now I don't, and the reason is because of this story I'm about to share with you. And this is a true story. One of my friends is trying to pay a friend called Edmund. But the problem is there are many Edmunds in her handphone contact list, and she did not differentiate them. She didn't differentiate Edmund Tan, Edmund Lim, whatever, Edmund from IT or whatever. And she selected the wrong Edmund. But of course, it's through a friend. Even though it's paid wrongly, it's not an issue. Friends can settle very easily, can just refund back. But even if this was a total stranger, it's really not an issue. Because some people say, what happened? I paid someone wrongly, I can't go get my money back. It's really not an issue. You can always contact the bank and inform them about the transaction, and they will contact the other party, not to worry, to help you contact the other party to retrieve back the money. And generally, in my 13 plus years of working in bank previously, most people, if it's not the money, especially the money is not large, they normally don't dispute and they will actually give back. Actually, so it's usually not an issue most of the time. But okay, let's say you key in a number correctly, or you already select your contact list. If it's not your contact list, all you need to do is to key in the 8 digits handphone number. That's it. Just make sure the number is correct. Okay, next, you need to key in the amount. Now, when you key in the amount, one thing I like to highlight is the decimal place. For example, we just had chicken rice, you're paying me, right? And we just had chicken rice. The chicken rice only costs $4. You wouldn't want to pay me $40 or $400 because we are not talking about rupiah, we're talking about Sing dollars. So please take note of the decimal place. Okay, now that you key the amount and taken note of the decimal place, what's the next step? Of course, you move to the Let's Go, or OCBC will be the green arrow in the highlighted red box, and the other UOB will be next as well. So this is actually what you see now is the confirmation page. You already checked the amount. You have checked the phone number is correct. So next you have to do, once you ascertain everything is correct, just put Let's Go. Remember, if your contact list is many admin, make sure that it's correct admin. And in future, how do you solve this problem? Like what I do nowadays, I actually put admin from where, like admin from IT, admin from ABC, or even from XYZ. Yeah, because sometimes even surname like Tan, I'm David Tan. Tan is such a common surname, so sometimes you have to differentiate after the Tan just to make sure that I'm getting to the right payee, the right person. So that's something for you to consider. So once I've done that, that's it. So really just a few steps, as you see. It's fast, safe, and convenient. It's just a few hassle-free steps, actually. You already have done your payment. And rest assured that you actually able to track this transaction. How? There's actually, let's say you pay, there's actually a history page, payment history page you can check. And for myself, my handphone number is registered with my bank, which is DBS, and my email address is also registered with DBS. So actually, I receive a notification by SMS, and I actually also receive an email notification. So there are 3 ways they contact me. They let me know this transaction. One is through the payment history through PayLah, the e-wallet. The other is through the SMS. And in case I still didn't pay attention to my SMS, I'm actually also notified by email. So rest assured, you will know about a transaction, a payment transaction you made. It won't be right. Unlike in your wallet, if you have many loose change, and sometimes you may have forgotten that you have paid someone. Then how come I'm supposed to have $53? Why now only left with $47? And you're thinking, how? Why did I pay? Or who did I pay? What happened? Well, with e-wallet or with the PayNow services, not to worry, all these transactions are traceable. There's an audit trail. You can actually check back and actually look back what payment, what day, what time. It's all perfectly under your control. Should you have any more questions on this, feel free to ask me the questions in the Q&A later. Next, I'll share how do you pay a merchant using QR code. Nowadays, especially now we are in phase 2, everybody is going to the hawker center and the food and F&B outlets to have their meals, you may see a QR code like what you see on the screen right now. Now, this is actually another way. All you have to do is scan the QR code. How? By using the PayLah app or the UOB Mighty app or the OCBC banking app that you already had installed, or any other bank's app that you already have. Okay, so how do you do that? You of course will have to log into your app. Let's say I'm using PayLah, and let's say I use user ID and password. So I'll see this screen. Right on top, you'll see the scan QR. Can you see the one that's highlighted with yellow lines? And if you are an OCBC customer, you'll see pay person, but bear in mind for OCBC, there's one more step. There's can you see the smaller square box? You have to tap on import from gallery. For UOB, it's the same like PayLah. You just tap on scan QR code. So after you scan on QR code, let's say you're paying what happens? Your phone camera will the QR code appears in your screen because your phone camera is facing it, and you will automatically scan it. And let's say you're paying Yummy Place, a restaurant. So if I'm using PayLah to pay Yummy Place, you will show I'm paying Yummy Place restaurant, and it's asking me to key in the amount, which I'll do in a moment. And you can see the respective screen for the UOB and also OCBC. Some of these screens you may want to take because unlike physical class, there's no note being shared. But if you are worried about the steps, you can actually take pictures of what I'm sharing. I'll just spare you 1 or 2 moments before I switch the screen. Okay, next. Just like earlier, I actually will key in the amount, and I'll pay attention to this decimal place. Just make sure everything is correct. No matter how many people is beside or behind you, please ensure everything is correct before you make payment. Yeah. Again, should there be any problems with the payment, like wrong amount key or anything like that, bear in mind that you can always contact the bank, and you always have a transaction record to inform the bank. Just the bank asks you for the records, and because it's in your history, because as I say, it's in your SMS notification, or if you are like me, you even receive an email notification. All these are records you can call on to inform the bank should there be any problems with the payment. So once you confirm the payment, as usual, you put pay for OCBC's confirm payment, and UOB will just put pay. So that's it. Just a few short, simple steps. And again, should you have more questions later on, feel free to ask me in the Q&A. Now, during the circuit breaker period, or the past 2.5 months, shops of clothes and things like that, some of the retail shops you can't even go. So, and some of us may have gone online to make purchases. So can you use PayNow for online payments? The answer is yes. There are retailers out there who actually support PayNow payments. That means using PayNow for payments. Reason because not every retirer may have a credit card or wish to have a credit card, or they may not even wish to have a debit card. Now, like you see here on the screen is actually e-commerce website that's selling dolls, DOLLS. And usually what appears there for those e-commerce websites, if they allow PayNow services, of course they'll state it, and they will flash is on their website page. What you see on your computer or your handphone is actually the QR code like what I showed earlier. And all you have to do is do exactly the same, the pay by QR method, QR code method which I just shared with you earlier. You of course have to on your app, and then select pay by QR code, and then you scan the QR code, key in the amount, and then once everything is correct, you just confirm the payment. That's it. And you already have made the payment. It's as simple as that. There are others actually, insurance companies. When I was preparing slides, I actually checked that some insurance company actually accepts online payments. Just now you can buy insurance online in case you're not aware. They actually allows PayNow payments actually on their website. And basically, I believe as Singapore move forward to as a smart nation, more and as because of this, what we have seen in this circuit breaker period, more and more retailers will probably get on board online. In fact, I also teach digital e-commerce, and this is one of the hottest courses right now. Why? Because a lot of retailers are coming on board on how to do e-commerce, which to customers like yourself. So I do foresee that more going forward, more and more retailers will actually allow payment as one of the modes, so that's something for you to consider. And again, also for pay now, it actually goes beyond just making payments at the food center or your restaurants or even e-commerce. I'm not too sure you're aware. I'm sure that most of you, your children, your kids, they give you your monthly allowance, right? And during this circuit breaker, they can't visit you, right? Or they're not supposed to visit you. So how are you going to get money allowance? Well, if you had a PayNow service, they got no excuse not to give you the allowance, because you can say, Mom or Dad now has PayNow. You don't come, it's okay. I don't need you to come. Just make sure you pay now me my monthly allowance, so that I can eat, so I can still eat. So that's another advantage. Just from your home, you can receive money from your kids, even where they are not physically in front of you, instantly. And by the way, PayNow is instant. So that's another incentive for you to sign up for PayNow. Okay. And there are also more developments with PayNow, as I'll share in the next slide. In April, OCBC announced that Google Pay. Now, Google Pay, there are other e-payments methods like Google Pay, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay. Typically, this form of e-payments actually needs you to link with a 16-digit card. It's usually your credit card or your debit card. But the thing is that some people are not very comfortable with this. They don't like to share the 16-digit number out of security concern. So one way that if you're an OCBC customer and you are using Google Pay, you actually can use PayNow to make that payment through the Google Pay. Similarly, remember I mentioned to you there are other e-wallets around besides PayNow. For example, now there's an emergency, you need to grab a cab. Let's say you use Grab. But because it's an emergency, you got no time to go to an ATM, and you don't have enough money in your wallet right now, the physical wallet, and even your GrabPay don't have a lot of money, it's not insufficient funds. What do? You can actually use PayNow to transfer money into your Grab, okay, so that you can take that taxi and attend to the emergency. So that's another advantage. Whereas if you're using traditional cash, it'll be so much a hassle. You have to go and look for an ATM, so on and so forth. A lot of times we stay, especially if it's an emergency. But with PayNow, that's another advantage. It's convenient, safe, fuss-free, and it's very useful in emergency, like what I just shared. Okay. And just to sum up, before I start, maybe I share you some safety tips first, because safety is always utmost concern for all of us, especially when money is concerned, right? Now, remember I mentioned that we have actually, the PayNow actually, or when you use PayNow service, you actually receive the SMS services, just like recently, in April, when the government gave money to everyone, I did receive a PayNow SMS service informing that the money has already been topped up. But sometimes, just like in credit card, each time there's a payment or there's transaction, there's an alert. Read the alert carefully, and you think there are anything suspicious, do contact the bank. It has not happened to me when I'm using PayNow service, but it has happened to me regards to my credit card. Last year, there was a message, SMS message, worded very similar to how, when you spend a certain amount, the bank alerts you on credit card payments and asks you to confirm that you do this type of payment or this type of transaction. Similarly, it was worded something like that, and you will also receive something like that when you have a PayNow service and you opt for the SMS notification. Now, most of the time, this type of bank service, they ask you to call back to them, to their call center, which, let's say in DBS will be 1800-111-1111. But in this case, what I received was a website address. Asked me to, that there may be, did I confirm this transaction? I have to I have to log in, because it's on my handphone. I can actually click on the hyperlink, right? Because I can click on it, and it brought me to it. Of course, I did not do that, because I work over 13 years in the bank, and I know that's not the way the bank does things. So the correct way, when you receive this type of thing and it looks suspicious, call back the bank. And even if the SMS has a number for you to call back, I would actually suggest you make sure that that number is the public number. Like I already told you, DBS is the 1800-111-1111. and your UOB and whatever bank will have their own number, call back the public number, because their call center staff should be able to check for you whether did the bank try to contact you. That's one way. And because sometimes some people may have also bought phones, secondhand phones or whatever, through some e-commerce website. Now, just make sure that those phones have not been modified. You're not sure, you may not want to use payment modes on these phones. Reason being, because there are some apps that's not supported by Google or Apple, but they are useful to the previous owner, and when they want to download these kind of apps, the phone will be modified. But when these phones are modified, it also may make your payment apps less secure. Just bear that in mind. But again, most Singaporeans, especially the more senior citizens, most of them will actually normally either got it from the children or actually bought it themselves through authorized retailers. So just bear in mind. I'll just pause 1 or 2 minutes for you to take the snapshot if you wish to. Just a few seconds, no minutes, sorry. Okay, next. Now, about Wi-Fi, because you're out there making transaction, so there are some shops have their own Wi-Fi free on public, because they want customers to make the payments, right? For myself, when I make payments, I actually use my mobile data plan. I don't use the public Wi-Fi, okay, or the shop's Wi-Fi. Because we do not know about whether it's secure. Although generally speaking, Wireless SG, the government initiative for free Wi-Fi at the commonly used places, is generally secure. But as I said, there are some places that you have their Wi-Fi ABC companies Wi-Fi, you do not know how secure it is. So for that instances, I will actually encourage you to use your mobile data plan. You only take, just as you can saw, just a few steps. It's only less than a minute. So you won't use a lot of your Wi-Fi or your data plan. Yeah. So, and another thing I'd like to share is about password. Now, a lot of us always have problem with remember password, including myself. Of course, as I already said, an option is using fingerprint or face ID, but I already shared you what the potential problems if you use those. So one way is you may not construct your password from a sentence. A simple way, like, I learned about mobile e-payments from David on 23rd of June. Then maybe you want to take the first alphabet of each of the word in that sentence and combine it into alphanumeric. And special symbol is up to you to choose. So maybe with that, because it's a natural language, it's in a sentence, it may be easier for you to remember your password. That's my tip for you. And because banks will contact you using SMS and things like that, and for myself includes the email. Always inform the bank when you change your contact details. Just like you change address, you do inform the bank, right? Because you want to receive your statements, right? So do this, update the bank on that as well. And another thing I like to share is always look at your transaction, because the moment you have a PayNow service, you automatically have the bank's internet service, or what we also call the digital banking service, which allows you to look through transactions in real time. Means you don't wait for your statement. You don't have to go down to the branch to update your password just to see the transaction. You can actually there and now through the respective digital banking apps check on the transaction. So when you're free, always look at this transaction. And actually, again, experience. Actually, last year there was 3 transactions in 1 month that they originated from me. I didn't use my credit card to pay for them, but because I spot them early, I notified the bank. And after the investigation, obviously, I got my money back because those were not done by me. So that's another advantage for you to sign up for the digital banking service, even if you don't want to use PayNow. Now, just to sum up before the Q&A, now generally, mobile payments are safe and fuss-free, and it's 24/7. And you can do it from the comfort of home, comfort anywhere, as long as you can access the mobile data, as I recommend. And it allows you to pay people using the handphone number, and it allows you to pay people by scanning QR code. Even online, you can scan the QR code. And just bear in mind the safety tips that I share you. As long as you bear in mind, it's actually safe. In fact, I dare to say it's probably safer than using your current wallet or your current purse. Before I go end with your questions, I also like to thank the staff from the support production staff and also Cheryl from IT for helping out in the preparation of this sharing. Yeah, so may we have the question? Oh, we already have questions already. Okay, the question is, I already have the DBS Internet Banking using the same ID. Yeah, let me see the full questions. One moment. I already have the DBS Internet Banking. Can I use the same user ID and password for my digital banking? Actually, the DigiBank and DBS Internet Banking is one and the same. DigiBank is the mobile app form of the DBS Internet Banking. They are actually the same service. It's just that one, you use the computer, maybe your laptop. The other, you use the handphone through the app called DBS Digital Banking. If you are a POSB customer, it will be called POSB Digital Banking. That is actually separate from PayLah, but yes, because PayLah is an e-wallet. So DBS DigiBank and DBS Internet Banking is one and the same. And one more thing, just another incentive before I forget, since you mentioned about internet banking, all the three local banks, like DBS, OCBC, and UOB have what they call lifestyle apps as well. Also using the same DigiBanking access actually. For UOB Mighty, in fact, the lifestyle goodies are integrated into UOB Mighty. That one is the 3-in-1 app actually. Whereas for DBS and OCBC, the lifestyle app is actually a different app. While the lifestyle, it may give you some goodies or some freebies now and then. So there's another incentive for you to, participate, to sign up for the digital banking service and also sign up for PayNow. Yeah. So the next question is PayNow only for Singaporeans and PR? Now, if you're a foreigner residing for Singapore, it's really not an issue because you have your IC number. If you are a foreigner, let's say you're a domestic worker in Singapore, you still have your FIN number, FIN. You can actually use PayNow using the FIN number or identification number. So foreigners with the FIN number can actually use the PayNow service as well. Okay, next question. If I initially register for PayNow using my phone number, can I still link or change it to my IC's number so the next time there's a government payout, they will pay me by PayNow? The answer is yes. You just need to go back to your log into your digital banking or internet banking service if you are using a laptop, and yes, then you can choose. You can change the options as well. Yes, you can do that. Can I have more than one PayNow service? From my memory, when they first launched PayNow, they actually restrict to 2 bank accounts, one primary. But generally, you may want to check the bank for the latest update on this. But when they launched, I remember they actually said it's limited to 2 banks max. One is the primary one, means the main one. It's just that a person can have 2 checkbook accounts, but they may want to check with the respective banks on the latest on this. Yeah. I have a joint account and a personal account. How can I ensure that the PayNow to me is the PayNow NRIC is okay? This you actually can, basically what the person is asked, they got a joint account. So how will I make sure that, we have a payment, let's say I have a joint account with my wife. So I make sure the money for me comes to me and not goes to my joint account with her, which she take my money away, right? Well, yes, you can designate it to your personal account under your personal name. You can do it through the internet banking, but you have difficulty doing it. You're not so sure how. Go down to the bank. They'll be more than happy to help you. It's actually how they what electronic point to which account. The bank staff will help you to do it. Although actually you can do it yourself through the internet banking and through the internet banking, but that's out of scope of today's talk. And different banks have different ways of doing so. So you may want to contact the respective bank and ask them to help you. You only do it one time. So next question, does it mean both parties are having same bank to effect PayLah? No, not necessary. Just to share you a bit of PayLah. Remember I shared with you that PayLah is an e-wallet, and it was actually, it precedes PayNow. PayNow was actually PayNow, although people with POS, because it belongs to DBS, people with DBS or POSB account will have the full benefit because they can, as and when they can actually link it to their account for the fund transfer as and when they need money, or they can automatically link it so they don't have to worry. As soon as their account got money, they can use the PayLah app. But you know, when a lot of people may not be aware, actually PayLah is an e-wallet. Even if you are not a DBS customer, you can actually have the PayLah app. But what's the inconvenience? You have to get someone who already has PayLah to transfer money into your e-wallet. Means let's say I'm an OCBC customer, but I have PayLah. So there's no way I can transfer money from my OCBC account to my PayLah e-wallet directly. At this point in time, it's not possible. But if let's say my wife has a POSB or DBS account and she has PayLah, she can directly transfer that money to my PayLah account. So that's another way. Let me look at I hope that answers your question. So basically, and the second part of the question about the PayLah. Now I have actually paid my friend. Because it's by handphone number, right? I have actually successfully paid my friend who is using Standard Chartered Bank for her PayNow without any problems. Now you can always contact the bank and they can always investigate for you. Yeah. So remember, because PayLah is also using the PayNow service, so it's actually possible. The key is actually the phone number, and it goes to like in my case, when although I pay using PayLah, it doesn't go to let's say she has a PayLah, but it doesn't really go to it actually goes to a Standard Chartered Bank account actually, because it's using PayNow. But of course, if both parties are using PayLah, you can actually see it in the wallet. Let's say my friend, let's say Elaine, she's transferred money. In fact, in the real SkillsFuture class, one of the digital literacy, I always demonstrate using my coach trainer. She has a PayLah wallet, and I have. So she actually always I transfer 1 cent to her, and she always transfer 1 cent to me. To show the learners that it is possible, if both are PayLah users, it is possible through directly the wallet. It means we even bypass the bank account. It is possible. So next question is, let me see, thanks for all the questions. Those are very useful questions. What is the difference between NETS, PayLah, and PayNow? Now, NETS is actually another payment. Originally, as we know, NETS is basically using our ATM PIN. Basically, there's a PIN, you use the NETS, then you have to choose, is it deduct from your, you have to swipe. Usually, I think it's swipe I've not used NETS for so long nowadays. Usually, you have to swipe using your ATM card. Then you have to check whether you want to choose, is it maybe pay from savings account, current account, then you make sure the amount is correct, then you key in your PIN, that's it. Now, that was actually, you can call that another form of e-payment, but PayNow is, I'll say, is the shorter steps, and it doesn't need an ATM card. You don't have to carry something separately physically because it's very part and parcel of your handphone. Of course, now NETS also have their e-wallet, just for information. And NETS e-wallet, I'm not too sure what they call it, but I know NETS have the e-wallet. And it is also that NETS e-wallet also support PayNow service. Because remember I say PayNow sort of streamline all the e-payments options. So if you have NETS and you happen to download the NETS app, which is the e-wallet, you can also use PayNow. Just bear that in mind. Next question. Now tapping for NETS, just also to tapping from NETS, this person said, I recall using tap and pay for NETS recently, but I don't recall that was it possible for NETS. Now when you tap, you could have been using your debit card or credit card, because like PayWave paywave, you could be using that one. The retailer, let's say like NTUC, they actually use the next terminal for you to tap, or even Sheng Siong as well. You may not be using the next service. You may be using your debit card or your credit card that has those paywave function. Yeah, that one you don't have to key anything. Just make sure the amount is correct. So it's also another form of e-payment, but it's not the same as next. If I use PayNow to pay someone and you have two bank accounts that are using the same product, then I feel, oh, as I said, one of them will be the primary. Basically, the person is that if they use PayNow to pay someone and they have two bank accounts, so one of them is POSB and one of them is UOB, using the same mobile number, goes to which account? Actually, as I said, it depends on which account they designate as the main account of what we call the primary account. So that is actually that person, you have to ask the person to check with their bank, which is the primary account. Let's say if it's the UOB one, it will go into their UOB account. And anyway, if they are using the PayNow services, they also are the internet banking customers of the respective bank. And for internet banking, otherwise called digital banking and stuff they like to use nowadays, you can log on to your digital banking app and check the transaction history, because PayNow is supposed to be instantaneous. If you make payment, let's say it's the UOB, you can see the UOB one. If it's the POSB one, they can actually see on the POSB. So they can actually can ascertain from there as well. Next question. For the older generation, they don't have internet banking. How to use PayLah? They can use, okay, as I said, for PayNow, because it's a service, one of the requirements is you must have the internet banking password, which you have to apply with the bank before you can register for PayNow. It's a mandatory. But if you are using PayLah just as a wallet, well, you can always ask, and let's say your son or daughter have a PayLah, you just want to use it as a wallet, you can ask them to transfer the money to you using the PayLah app. They can. Let's say now you want $50. Say, so, can you transfer $50 to money now using your PayLah app to my PayLah using my handphone number? It can be done even if you don't have internet banking because you have the app. Okay, but the moment you would like to pay someone who's not using PayNow, who is not using PayLah, let's say, as I said, my friend was Standard Chartered, right? I can't because it's using the PayNow service because it's through another bank. Okay, so or if I want to pay someone using GrabPay, who's using the GrabPay, because it's through the PayNow service. So if I didn't register a PayNow service, I can't, because unless that person has the same PayLah app as me, goes from one wallet to another wallet, same wallet, okay, same service wallet. Okay, and the next question is it okay to have both PayLah and PayNow service? The answer is it's best to have both PayLah and PayNow. It's not, by the way, as I say one more time, PayNow is not account, it's a service. So it should be, is it okay? Your question should be phrased, is it okay to have both PayLah and PayNow services? The answer is yes, because they are not accounts, as I say. The reason is PayLah itself is an e-wallet, but if you have PayNow services, the usage get magnified because you can pay someone using through the PayNow service, and these people may not be using PayLah. If you have just PayLah alone, you can only use it to pay or receive money from someone who's using PayLah. So it's more restrictive. So anyway, PayLah supports PayNow, as I said, and PayNow supports PayLah. PayLah supports PayNow. How? Through using the phone number and using the QR code. Because PayLah cannot transfer money using NRIC. But anyway, as I said, you wouldn't want to give a stranger or even your friend your NRIC, right? Next question. May I know NetSpay is similar to PayNow or PayLah? Now, if I correct me wrong, as I said, I've not used Nets for some time. Nets also the e-wallet. Maybe they call it NetSpay. If that is you may want to confirm it Nets. If they call it NetSpay is their e-wallet, and if it's the e-wallet, they will support PayNow. They will support PayNow. All right. it's a matter of choice of which wallet. I use PayLah as an example. Reason is because most people have POSB or DBS account. That's the reason why I use PayLah as the illustration. And just as I shared earlier, there are PayNow, the service unifies all the various payment apps. So it's still your choice. Sometimes I use GrabPay for my ride. So I don't use I use GrabPay. I don't use PayLah, but although PayLah also can be used for ride, I never use PayLah for my rides with Comfort before. So it's still possible also. And they say, how do you split payments of the lunch bill among 3 friends? That's a great question. And the wonderful thing is, PayLah actually one of the icons is split bill. So you can consider using a split bill icon. It's available in PayLah. Next question, how do I change the user ID or password if my mobile line is compromised? Well, if your number is compromised, first of all, you have to inform the bank to change the phone number. And once you change you change again, you may actually also want to request a new ID. And once you have the new ID, there will be a new password. So you may want to redo everything. Once it's compromised, you should change it, as what you say. The payment records are kept for how many months and how long? I think this one depends on the banks. But for my own personal experience, because I use DBS Bank, I can see for like 3-4 months still no problem. It again depends on the number of transactions. I'm a thrifty person. I don't keep on spending every day, every minute of the day, and I don't have that many transactions to begin with. But you may want to check this one. I think the banks will be a more because it may differ from banks to banks. It's better for you to ask your participating bank, the bank that you have chosen. But for me, DBS 3-4 months on, I still see it, so it's not an issue at all. Next question, I have saving account and current account both joined. If I open PayNow, is it linked to your savings account or current? As I say again, this is very similar to the earlier question. You have to designate which is your PayNow account. And if you have difficulty doing that, you can ask the bank for help. You say, if you want savings, then they will help you designate as a savings. You want it as a current, they help you designate as a current. It's really your choice. It's just like when you use gyro and you have 3 accounts, which one do you want to use for gyro? You indicate it on the application, right? So in this case, it's very similar in that sense. You have the right and you have the possibilities, that choice to actually indicate which is the account that you want the transaction to run. Like for instance, I also have 2 accounts with DBS Bank, and it always goes to my saving because I designated it as the receiving account for the PayNow services in my DBS. I should have 2 accounts with DBS as well. Next question is, Payway better than PayLah? It depends. It's a matter of choice. It's just like, the question is as good as chicken rice, roast chicken better, or the steamed poached chicken is better. It's really your choice, right? And I actually use both. I use both Payway and PayLah also. I actually use both. It depends, okay? And it's a personal choice. And both are convenient e-payments methods, I would say. So it's really a personal choice. If my phone is lost, what will happen? If your phone is lost, doesn't mean, okay, it does not mean, first of all, the app itself is secured with your own, let's say you use the user ID and the password. So to access it, let's say you use PayLah inside your phone and your phone is lost. Let's say my phone is lost. I have a PayLah app inside. What do I do? First of all, I will actually inform the bank that my phone is lost and I have PayLah inside. The most likely, if let's say I have an account, I have the PayLah inside, let's say it's $30, I possibly may, if the person for some reason somehow managed to know my ID or password, they probably can still use that $30. Possible, possible. But the most I'll lose is the $30. And that's actually, it's just like if I lost my wallet, I have $30 in my physical wallet or your purse, I only lose $30. It does not impact my bank account. And there's also another reason why I remember I shared earlier, in case if you have missed it, when I use PayLah, although bank has the best security money can buy, and it is because I went to bank for 30 years, I can tell you that local banks, and of course the international banks, they actually invest in the best security technology that money can buy. It's very important for their reputation, rest assured. But nothing in the world is foolproof. So I will of course inform the bank that I lost, but that the person managed to break into my app, that $30 may be lost, but that's the most. And I will share you one of the reasons because I delinked the account from, which is why I use PayLah rather than DBS Digibank, because for DBS PayLah, I only link it back whenever I want to top up, and once the top up is over, I delink it back. It's basically like a physical wallet except it's in my handphone. And actually, even with handphone, there are a few levels. As you know, handphones nowadays may need your fingerprint, may need your facial recognition. Then after they get into your handphone, they still have to get into your app. So your app may need the user ID and may need to use the this password as well. So it's actually a few levels of protection. And whether that person managed to break in or not, remember, if let's say the person successfully break in, you will be notified by the SMS. Okay, maybe you don't have your phone, so you got no SMS to see. But you still got the email like me, right? I still can see from the email. I can still go to my internet banking by my laptop and see got any transaction done or not. Whereas if you have a physical wallet or purse now, you lost, that's it. You don't even know what happened to it. Most likely $30 cash is really gone. And that also brings to you another tip, which I will share. Limit the amount. When you have this type of e-payments, limit the amount. I also do. Let's say you may limit each time only like $500. That's it. Yeah. Even for my debit cards, my credit cards, all this I limit the amounts actually. All this is within your control. You just need to inform the bank. Yeah. So basically, like for myself, I already told you, for my PayLah, only always have around $30+ inside each time. Rarely above that, unless I'll make a larger payment. Then I especially transfer money inside. It's just like your normal physical purse, you only put $30 in. Then maybe you think this today you want to buy $100, then you add in the other $70. It's the same. So next question, go to last slide. Okay, this will be the last question because time is running out. For joint account, can we have separate PayNow linked to this joint account? Yes, you may. Let's say you have a joint account. Let's say you and your wife have the same joint account, and can you have your respective PayNow services? The answer is yes. It is. It's just like gyro. You may be the one who sign off the gyro for your PUB bills. She may be the one signing off the gyro for her phone bills, her handphone bills, but you're using the same joint account to pay, right? It's possible? Yes, it's possible. Same logic applies. So remember, PayNow is a service, it's a payment service. You can actually you can actually go to have your separate PayNow services. Okay, since I understand we have a bit more time, so I'll answer more questions. Can I PayLah to a number with PayNow? Now I say one more time, PayLah is an e-wallet, but PayLah supports PayNow through either using the handphone number or the QR code. So you have a PayLah, and obviously if you are registered for the PayNow services, you can pay someone using that person's handphone number, as what I did by paying my friend whose PayNow is with StanChart. I'm with DBS Bank, she's with StanChart. I successfully pay her using the PayLah app and using her handphone number, and she gets the money through the StanChart bank account, which she registered for her PayNow services. Okay, do all retailers or QR scan code accept e-payment by PayLah? Now, you will have that app, for example, you can see an app called SGQR, or you can see the QR code with the word PayNow. all those actually will accept any acceptable apps that is participating that's under the Pay Now services. If you're not sure, you ask the retailer. The retailer can tell you because the cashier is expert. The most expert is she'll know that this can accept or don't get. Or you try. You can always try and scan. If you scan, it works. It is accepted. If you're really not sure, yeah. I saw a difficulty doing either one at says fair price. Now, okay, at fair price, from my own personal experience, I have used actually PayLah to pay at NTUC fair price before. They are actually using, if I remember correctly, the next QR code. You see on the next terminal, the next QR code. And on my PayLah app, I scan the QR, I key in the amount, and I make sure the amount is correct. I successfully done before. So yes, it can scan, but the thing is that I think sometimes when I first asked this, actually some of the cashiers, especially at the smaller branches, may also not be used to it. But that was like more than a year ago. But I think now it is actually more prevalent. Most of the cashiers are more conversant. So the short answer is yes, you can use PayLah to pay at NTUC fair price, but they will be using the next QR code for you to scan. Okay, I think that the last question is how to ascertain if URL is correct. Now you can't. URL is you use URL. URL is actually a website. It's a website. A payee does not have a URL. Basically, as I said, you pay using the QR code, not the URL. There's no URL. It's a QR code. It's the responsibility of the person or the merchant. Let's say it's Yummy Place Restaurant. You'll see Yummy Place, you're paying Yummy Place Restaurant as I showed earlier. So from there, you can ascertain that it's actually been paid to the right merchant. Also, just to share you, since you mentioned it, there's something I'd like to share you. There are some merchants, actually they have the Pay Now service, but they don't display the QR code. Which place I can share you. I don't mention the hospital's name. I was at this specialist clinic, and I want to, because actually all government-affiliated organizations do accept Pay Now payments. So I look at the counter and I say, where's your QR code? Do you accept Pay Now? Then only after I ask, then she take from under her table to actually show me and ask me to scan that QR code. So sometimes you have to ask for reasons best known to them, which I will not delve in the details. They actually already have that service, but they may not publicly display it. So you can always ask that merchant. And I can tell you that particularly Restructured Hospital is one of those organizations that accepts Pay Now payments, but doesn't display the QR code publicly, but they do. Yeah. I think that will be the final questions. Thank you for your time. Should there be any other questions? I'm sorry I can't answer the rest. Thank you for your time. Yeah. Let me just go share with you a bit more things. Okay. Now, if you like to know more and you find it useful, this video will be posted on the NSA eNuggets webpage, and you can share with your friends or your relatives or family so they can pick on these tips. And if you'd like to know more about more hands-on experience and about these courses, you can IT together with NSA. We do have some such courses, and you can contact IT through that number that I just flashed. It's the 1800-2222-111, or the email that you just see. You can take a picture of it. And of course, if you need to know more about learning or those NSAs for those who are over 50, you can always go to their website, which is shown on the number. And sometimes some of the courses, like for the one in IT, that's why I conduct 2 days. Although it's called Skill Future for a Digital Workplace, it is also meant a lot of seniors actually use that 2-day course to boost up their basic digital literacy as well, because there's a lot more hands-on on those 2 courses at a very affordable price. If a union member is only $10, if you are, by the way, all of you who are over 40 is getting $1,000 Skill Future credit as announced in the budget. And that Skill Future credit you can actually use for this type of approved courses, which means to you is basically cost-free. Yeah. Thank you all for your questions, and thank you everyone for your time. Have a nice day.